Am I the only one who thinks you should be pronounced onion? Union? Should be pronounced onion? Starts with un, ends with yun. Thanks for having me. Should introduce myself a little bit. Do you all know Google Drive? You've done that? Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Sheets? A few nods, yeah. So you know when you're in a document and then at the top it says anonymous rhino is in this document? That's me. That's me. New Year's resolution was to finally quit journaling and start smoking. So it's gone pretty well. Up to a pack a week, actually. So yeah, I grew up with a friend who became a motivational speaker. I don't know if anyone's had any friends do that, and that was an unusual career choice, I think. And what happened was that's his job. He does that. He goes around full-time motivational speaking. And I talked to his brothers about this because I know them a little bit, and what they told me was basically he finished school, and then they were like, yeah, he finished school and then just watched a ton of boxing videos on YouTube, and then a switch flipped, and he's like, I'm going to be a motivational speaker now. And he succeeded. And that's his full-time job. He goes around and he does that full-time. So yeah, it goes to show, like, if you believe in yourself, you can do anything. He taught me that. So, it's good. Yeah, I grew up in the UK, actually. It's a little bit different. Anyone else grow up different countries? Yeah? But UK as well. Well, you'll know all this, but don't spoil it. But they're different over there, right? Different food, different accents. Like it's pretty different. Like they've what I noticed. One of the things I noticed, like coming over here, in comparison, is like, you know, like when you're using a door here, like it's sometimes like it's a doorknob or a door handle, and they have that. They actually have that as well. But the thing about that is that in the UK, like I reckon they are working with like 56% door handles and like 40, like the 100 minus that for doorknobs. Like they've got, but here, it's like 51-49. So it's like another world, you know. It's a different kind of place. Growing up like that, you know, things are different. They've got bangers and mash. Are you familiar with that? Slang term for sausages and potato. They love it. They love it. They have a TV show that's called Bangers and Mash. And it's about cartoon monkeys. And moreover, they have this TV show. It's all about the songs that they sing in churches, right? And that show, it's called Bangers and Mass. Yeah. Not really, actually. The show is real, but it's not called that. It's actually called Songs of Praise, and it's boring as shit. What else? You know, what else have they got? They got Nando's. Sorry, we have Nando's. But they like it, you know? Things are different. It's culture shock, you know, coming over here, it's different. Yeah, but like, yeah, I grew up in the UK, and it is a bit different. I also grew up like extremely religious, and I had a lot of rules. And I wasn't allowed to do drugs. And I remember the first time I was offered drugs, I was at this party, and my friend who later became, my friend became a famous baker. But back then he was more famous for getting baked. Thanks, sorry. Yeah, he is a famous baker, but like what happened was we're at this party, and then he brought out a bong, and he put the bong on this table and was like, if anyone would like to smoke some hash, There you go. And then every single person at the party smoked the weed. And I felt so awkward. I was like, I can't do this, like I'm gonna get in so much trouble. And so I remember I backed away, like I backed into the corner essentially, and I watched as everyone smoked the weed. But like they all lined up, single file, behind this bomb, right? And it was so strange, like to watch, and it took me literally years to process that, to where I realized that like I wasn't the one who was weird for not smoking the weed. Like they were the weird ones. Like they're all just like, oh, is this the line for the marijuana? You know, because like that's how like deeply embedded queuing culture is in the UK. Like, they love it. They love a queue. It's yeah. Even like even recently, like last year when the Queen died, they had a big queue for that. And it was huge, stretched around the block, and I was watching it, I just thought like, wow, must have pretty good weed. But yeah, I've done drugs now, I'll admit it. I'll admit it to all of you. I did a drug, but like I'm not, well, okay, I'll tell you what happened. I did a drug, and all my friends were there, and this isn't strictly a joke, but I think it's funny. So they're all standing around, they're all like sitting around, and then I was very high, and then I stood up in front of everyone, and I just announced, I don't want to get high on drugs. I want to get high on poetry. Which is kind of just a glimpse into my personality, I think. Kind of came out under the influence. Yeah, you know what's weird? This is something I haven't talked about much. You know when you did anyone go to Aldi during the pandemic? So you're all familiar with the Aldi joke. We don't know about this? So they had one joke. They printed it everywhere in the shop, and we were all supposed to just go shopping and laugh the whole time. And it was you queue up, and then there's the screens, and then at the bottom of the screen it just says screen time with a difference. And it's like, what are you doing, Aldi? Why are you making this weird joke? It's like they're trying to make a comment on how we're all on our screens. But now we're in Aldi shopping during a pandemic, and now there's screens. It's like screen time with a difference. What is going on with Aldi in the pandemic? I don't have a joke really about that. It's just freaking me out, and I had to tell you all. But yeah, thanks so much for having me. I've been tonight.